All right, first things first, the United Nations Security Council, it's approved a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. And as I mentioned earlier, Israel's longtime ally, the United States, abstained from voting. Experts say that this highlights an all-time low in ties between the United States President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during this war. Now, soon after the vote, Netanyahu also scrapped a visit by a senior Israeli delegation to Washington. The aim of that meeting, which if it would have happened, was to discuss Israel's planned offensive in Rafah. According to Netanyahu's office, the failure of the United States to veto the resolution, it's a clear retreat from its previous position, and they believe that it will hurt Israel's war efforts. The threat of an offensive in Gaza's Rafah, it's increased tensions between US and Israel. Experts claim if the crisis is not managed carefully, it's only going to continue to worsen with time. The suspension of the meeting in Washington also jeopardizes the United States' efforts now to tackle the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. And at the same time, it puts a major obstacle in the way of Biden administration to get Netanyahu to consider alternatives to a ground invasion of Rafah. Biden's decision to abstain from UN voting, it also appears to reflect growing US frustration with Netanyahu. Earlier this month, Biden said that Rafah invasion would be a red line. However, he added that the United States is not going to cut off military aid to Israel. Netanyahu dismissed Biden's criticism, vowed to in fact press on with the Rafah offensive. On the other hand, both the leaders are dealing with political pressures as well. Back at home, in November, Biden will face his Republican rival Donald Trump as he aims for another term in the White House. The US president faces pressure not just from America's allies, but from a growing number of fellow Democrats as well, as they've called to limit Israel's offensive in Gaza. And at the same time, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing domestic challenges of his own. Far-right coalition members are demanding a hard line against the Palestinians. He's also facing growing calls from hostages' families to bring back their loved ones. And the frequent protests calling for Netanyahu's resignation, it's only added to these problems. For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.